So please, yes. You can ask your
Okay,
questions.
so
Yeah.
I'm in the drives, and it may just be something I'm doing, but it used to be you could get the resonation, get which ones are resonating, and I can't seem to pull that up anymore and I'm on the latest version, the update this morning.
Uh, ah, so maybe you need to recompute some. Okay, so sometimes, sorry, I'm trying to, yeah. Sometimes you don't see, let's go. So you mean the links between the different bars?
Yes, yes. Well, it's like, it shows it like with the chakras or with the atomic table, the atoms and stuff. When you click on the outside, it will show resonance, which like feeling from me inside goes to feeling
Yes.
or action to me outside. And that's, when that popped up, because it never happened before, but it happened in 1.3, 1.9, 9.
Okay, so you see it's recomputing the links when I'm asking for it. So maybe it needs to have some data that we don't keep. Yes, now you have it.
Oh, you
So
see that right there.
yes,
What
okay.
version are you?
So if you don't have that, it means that we have recorded a file that is of a lower size that has a lot of information, but maybe not all the resonances between everything. So as you can see, when I clicked on it and it asked for this information, there was a computation on the bottom of the screen. So you have to wait for the end of this computation to actually get this data.
Okay.
And if you want to force that, you can go back to the home page and click here on the right of conclusion. When you click on it, it will expand to some buttons. And if you click on the first one, for instance, you can recompute from scratch, or you can just recompute the biomarkers or the links. In our case, we want to recompute the links. So you can just recompute links, and if they were not saved into your file, they will now be available.
Okay.
Okay, so maybe this will be improved in a next version where we can maybe save a little bit more information. But my goal was to keep the files not too big when you save them on cloud, and a local file can be a few hundred megabytes, which is really too big to move over the cloud. But now the cloud files are more like 100 kilobytes, which is a feat per se because everything is pre-computed. But we cannot keep, for instance, all resonances or things like that in such a small file.
Would mood be able to have the same resonance? Because
That's a good question. I was thinking about it, to be frank. I have to. I was just thinking about it, and I'm not sure, but I had the same reflection as you. I wanted to be able to compute these links too, and now we don't have these links. So I will see if this is something we can do. It's probably something we can do too. It's just for your general information, moods are coming from a totally different computation part than other emotional biomarkers. So it's interesting to cross-reference what happens in mood and what happens in drive, for instance, because it's really two very different mathematical processes to get these informations.
But if you look at the bottom, if you look at the biomarkers that come up from mood, which is what I've also been doing, because it used to be emotions, right?
Yes.
And so I was using that. And when you click on it, and you can see that in the drives, there are some of the same biomarkers pop up. And then when you look at the causal chain in drives, then you can look and see, oh, so ultimately, who is feeding what, right? And what it boils down to, what I've been able to diagnose is that and I can't say that I'm diagnosing, and really I haven't diagnosed anybody else but me, because I really feel that if I'm going to explain something, I should explain it using my skin, because, well, for you guys, it doesn't matter, even for Jane Doe, because we're not, I am not diagnosing for you. In other words, what I'm saying is this is from my perspective, and everybody here on this call has their own perspective. Nobody else anywhere in the known universe and unknown universe has the same perspective. That's what we're here for, right?
Yeah.
So that source can see itself from everybody's perspective.
But it's interesting if you find that you find some similarities between moods and drives, because again, it's two very, very different sources. So if it recoups, it's a very good sign. Very, very interesting
Yes.
sign. Mm.
Yes. And what I have found is I haven't, at least for me, and I've got the brokenheartedness and abandonment and rejection and all that stuff. But what I found is all of those biomarkers get fed from grief. And I keep looking for a Elfie or something that can give me a time cycle or something for grief, because
Well, you have
in my
frequencies for grief. We have frequencies for grief. So if you play them with the harmonic boost, you should.
I went into the Alfie table and I was looking something. I didn't find anything definitive. Really, what I was looking for is time cycles, because I'm really starting to. It's not that. It's not that it's, like I used the candy bar thing. Maybe it's not that. Maybe I was, you know, 7 or 8 years old, and I'm at a public pool, we're swimming, and then you get teased because of something on your body or something, which that's in a dynamic, right? Especially if it's like a school thing. Anyway, so there are different aspects of trauma and blockages that have different timestamps on them. So they are being, and you can see how deep they are by looking at the cycles, like stuff that's 30 times a second or a minute. I mean, well, that's not very deep. That's a surface level,
It's
and
it,
you
it-
can.
it's already interesting. We cannot really measure a cycle that would be longer than your recording. So when we are speaking about long term, we are speaking about a few minutes. But in fact, when we measure something that when we measure a wave that have peaks in the vicinity of 1 minute, it means it's something that is um it's a very long tide, you know.
Yeah.
So we can infer from that it's something that is moving in a very slow pace. If it's moving only one cycle per minute, you know, it's something very long term. So are you looking for base cycles for these emotions that would be longer? Is that what you mean?
Well, yeah, I was looking to see, it would just give me another way, because the way I look at it is, it is a long, it's a larger wave, right? Like the Rosicrucians, when you look at all the different frequencies that, make up reality. Um, so I'm equating that to, well, you're pulling it out of my electrocardiogram, and it's magnetic mostly. So you're pulling it out of that. And the way I look at it, if it's down deep, then it's got to bounce off all of these other things that are going faster to make it up to the surface. In other words, so the logarithm can pull it out. So that's how I'm gauging depth, like a depth charge. And I hate to use I shouldn't say hate, but I don't like using the analogy of a depth, the World War II, anti-sub depth charges, right? So really, it's down deep, and if it's a blockage, the depth charge isn't accurate, because they throw a barrel of explosives over the side of the ship, and then it goes down and blows up at a certain depth. Well, it's kind of like I use the arsenic. Well, who in their right mind would take arsenic unless it's homeopathic? And even still, why would you take arsenic? Well, because arsenic is like a depth charge, even though it's
Again,
homeopathic.
as you say, maybe on a homeopathic point of view, it can be useful. And because we are working on an energetic imprint in the software, when you work on arsenic in the atoms, for instance, uh, it's more like, I think it's more like, well, on a therapeutic point of view, it's more like working with homeopathics than working with the actual product.
Well,
There is probably some emotional interpretation in the atoms that could be useful for that.
well, it's just a way of me trying to find the deepest one and work on that. And so far, everything, at least on my scan, shows up. Uh, it all, it's, it's either grief or lack of grief, right?
Yeah.
And that seems to be the major player for, at least for me, and it's down deep, and there's grief in there somewhere. So, is
Can I
was
ask
it
you
the five?
a question, Dan? Have you been having dreams?
I have dreams all the time. I have really vivid dreams. In fact, I can wake up in my dreams and change them, but I can't see my hands. That's the only difference in the dream. I don't see my hands. I see other people's hands, but I don't see my hands. So that's the part of the dream that where it's not 100% lucid. I can change it, but it's not 100% lucid.
Light switch on.
Yeah.
Because the grief will come out naturally. I don't think like pushing it or trying to figure out what it is.
Well,
What you're doing.
yeah, I agree with that. And it's just, it helps me if I'm going to, even for focus, right? And not that I'm trying to push something, but, you know, I've got my harmonic boost that I have right now is 49 minutes, and I only added 2 stimuli to it. I mean, and so it's really long if I play it on, if I have the computer generated, but when I turn it into an MP3, then it cuts it down by maybe 20%. So it's no longer 49 minutes. And that's just off my scan. That's not, like I said, I only put 2 stimuli in there, and those stimuli don't add a lot.
Right, but what I'm asking is like, or saying like, if you have grief, right, and it's deep, it's like it's gonna come out slowly. It will come out so that, at least for me in the emotional, the biocoherence, it's been very steady and very slow. And maybe just try being a little bit more gentle with yourself. You'll come out. You'll heal. There's like pinpointing it might be the problem because you might be like subconsciously avoiding whatever that is that hurt you. And so,
Yes.
and that's okay. We don't always have to look at what hurts us to heal from it.
Um, Well, thank you for that. And I agree with what you're saying, and I do feel that it will come out. But I will say that the process that I'm doing, I mean, before my chakras were just average or small, maybe, the third eye might be a little bit bigger or anything, or the heart might be smaller or whatever. But even I've had 2 scans, and even with all of the drugs they put in me and that was just for me to, help ease the pain and, get things under control. And then they put that contrast in my system, which it was like, wrapping, it's like my blood was a electric blanket because I just got hot and flushed all over my body. Well, it was for the MRI, whatever. But the the reason why I'm going for deeper things is because in the harmonics, or in the personal guide, right? It lists, it breaks things up and works on them, and I'm not sure how Medrick has categorized them in the personal guide, if it's high priorities or what, but
Yes, it's mostly, well, the personal guide uses your priorities list and your resources list. And then it cycles through them by order of most important priorities. And if there are some resistance or something like that, it will play them more when you do a reevaluation.
and so I don't usually listen to I'm not listening always to the meditation. I do mostly the harmonic boost because I can, put it on my phone
Why not?
and go gonna go on about my business and, get to a point, like if I'm driving, I got to go somewhere and drive somewhere, the harmonic boost is great. If I could do the personal guide, the meditations, off my phone, I suppose I could if I put BioCoherence on my Android phone. That would work. But I've had some of my best epiphanies just driving. But could I ask another question about drives?
Yeah, sure.
From Medrick. So when you're in the drive screen and you've got constructive and destructive,
Yes.
and I wouldn't even mind sharing my screen or even bring up Jane Doe's, because Jane Doe's is similar.
Yeah, which is I am on Jane Doe currently.
Okay.
Hmm.
So I see right now you've picked a certain emotion. Let me pin this. Okay. So yeah, you're doing emotions.
Yeah.
Right. So on this one for emotions, for others, it's kind of high, but most of the rest of them are down below in the destructive side. So let's just take me inside number 4, for emotions. So I love that resonance there. Okay, so we haven't found anything to go on number 4 emotions. We have usually on number 1, even me, I get a lot on number 1. So would I add to the top, in other words, the constructive side for emotion number 4? The destructive side is, that one. If I would go to, in other words, strengthen it with euphoria, is that what that said? Yeah, euphoria. In other words, click euphoria instead of depression, or by clicking depression, would that try to bring depression back into balance? Because maybe that's a better way of looking at it, as opposed to the depth, the time, the depth charge.
So what I would do, if you are not sure, you can click here where you have all the information, okay, including the whole meditation text. So as a priority, this is the text. If you use it as a resource, that will be the text, and the resource we call if you have a lot. So you can even play them directly here, I think. Yes. So you can if you want listen directly only to the meditation text right from the biomarker panel. So if you are unsure of which one you want to take into your meditation, you can just explore the two and see the one who fits your mood. But I think you can equally work on boosting euphoria or addressing depression because there are two sides of the same coin
Yes.
in the drives. But if you are unsure, just click here to get.
Yes. See where that time second is, the time, the cycle there up above? Yeah. So it's 12 every 12 seconds. So it's 4.9.
Yeah.
That one's kind of medium.
Yeah. And this one doesn't have information, which is strange. Okay, sometimes we cannot compute it. But it's long term. And this one is long term too. Okay, so lose control, coherence, long term. And this one would be lose control, average, long term. That can also give you some information on which one to pick,
It does.
If it's confirming that if you go on the positive side and you start with a coherent intention, okay, it might be you could even tweak your resources and use that as a resource,
Yeah, I also do like receives from and sends to. I look at all of them, and especially the ones when they show resonance.
Yeah.
And a lot of times it's usually feelings to actions. It is what I have found the most of. And it really is, it's just arbitrary. It's not arbitrary, but it's not always feelings to actions.
No, it's there is no forcing like that. So it's really the result of the computation between all drives. So it could be any link.
Yeah. But I look for commonalities, and
Yeah.
even with moods, I look for commonalities of the the biomarkers.
That's what you have to do, because we have a lot of information, and if you want to get a proper view of the current system state on all points, you have to search a little bit what you find recurrent in different screens and get a better idea of it. And I would say, if you want to go on the positive or the constructive or the destructive side, is also a function of how much energy you have and things like that. So if you want to look into the chakras and see how you are grounded, or how you are maybe too high in your mind,
Yes. Yes.
that can direct you in what kind of work you want to do emotionally. Same for the planes. If you are too on the side, that is quite large. Okay, so this one is forward. So for this recording, you should be a little bit forward looking, so a bit to the future,
Yeah.
And the left right is quite balanced. Okay, this one is quite under, so it means maybe more grounded right now than facing the sky.
It could be more grounded, but also it has to do, like, your legs are with balance. So if you're
Yes.
more into your legs.
But it's interesting to look at these kind of things to see what kind of work you want to engage, and what are your current strengths. Same with momentum. You can see if you are strongly driven by something. Organisms, for instance, seems to be a strong drive here for this recording.
So when the vertical bar is outside of the colored rectangle, that means that it's really high. What does that mean with that bar being?
It's very simple. In fact, this one is just the average of the four.
Oh, okay. So
Okay, so
okay.
Because it's the average, you mathematically, there are some bars going out and some bars going in. But you can take the strongest one, which is organisms, and in the restraints, biology, heavy metals should be the most important restraint. And again, you can work on it, and you can click here to see if the meditation speaks to you, if you want to work on it too. So I would say work on the momentums, because it's something really important. Momentums is really what moves you, what allows you to move. So it's if you have too many restraints and not enough movement, you cannot really move what happens inside you. So maybe you have to address the basis first, and the basis is in energy, generally speaking. So you can work on the chakras, you can work on momentum, you can work, of course, with atoms, organisms, and so on. And if you know Ayurveda, you can work on Ayurveda. But that would be the basis of what you need to do to get things moving, and that's why this is usually first in your priorities. And then you can go to the body, and then at last you can go to the mind. But if you want to start with the mind, you have to make sure that your foundations are right. And your foundations are towards the start of the screens. That's why we have this order: energy, body, mind.
Can you go over the wounds for us? Like how you would do it, how you would look at it?
Yeah, it's not the most finished screen, I have to say. And I still have to work on it.
But it is changing. Like I don't have the balls anymore.
Yeah, I know this screen is still pretty much a work in progress and has been a little bit abandoned because we had other priorities. So I should still work on it to make it something more clear. Basically, the ones that are lit up are the most active ones. But if you see some arrows like that, it means that you have some energy exchanges. So for instance, abandonment should be fed by humiliation. Okay. And then it's a classic TCM 5-point star. So you have some constructive and destructive cycles, like the 5 elements. But if you want to work on abandonment, you can know that it comes from humiliation, and injustice seems to be on the screen.
So what if you don't have any balls and all you have are arrows? Then how do you read that?
if I remember correctly, the balls are so the balls are light up by the energy of these 5 wands. But independently of that, we compute the links between them. So you can have, if you don't have any one that is lit up, it means that none is really a strong wand. But nonetheless, you can have relationships between them, even if it's not something that is probably very acute in the case of your scan.
Oh, okay. So when you lose your balls, then you get better.
Yes.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute.
So many jokes here.
Speak for yourself, okay?
You know, I'm all for the sacred feminine, but wait a minute.
I love that you guys are so. Yeah, I mean that's like good. Okay, I'm good then. Good.
But again, I have to refine the screen because it's not very intuitive. So this is part of my 10,000 to-do list items.
Well, so, you know, you've got wounds, but then the other one that you went to first, with the same 5 stars.
Yes.
That's, influences.
Yes.
Right? So are those similar calculations?
Yes, more or less, because as you can see, we don't have the same results. So we have the same kind of relationship, but the results are computed in a slightly different way, but it's more or less the same basis.
But you have the same gray arrows pointing from water,
yeah,
to earth and fire. That was also in wounds.
yes. Mm. Yes, I think the relationships come from that screen. There are many similarities between these two screens, but the results are not exactly the same for reasons that I don't remember, so I have to dig a little bit more about it. I know it's relationship between different items. Okay, I should come back to you with more precise answers maybe next week. TJ, you're jumping in.
Yeah, could we go through the chakra one too, if you wanted to look at that?
Yeah.
Some of the, yeah, there we go. Well, see, this one doesn't have a lot of things on it, so I don't know if
You
that's
could go to 12. Maybe you'll get more.
Which is
Sometimes if you just tap on it too, they'll start coming out.
sorry, there's a little bug here. Okay. 12. Yeah. So on this recording, it's very even for all chakras, which is usually not the case. Did you have a specific question, TJ?
Well, just in interpreting, because I use this, I mean, most of the time when I'm doing a biocoherence, I'm using it with my interpretation of the chakra systems that I use.
Which is
And
fine. Yeah.
I see how it correlates a lot of times, but was wondering if you had more of an explanation on how the lines move in between them.
That's
or whatever.
it's the same display as the relationships between the drives, for instance, or the meridians. If you click on this one, sorry. Okay. Another bug if I click too high. Okay, so let's say we click on this one, throat chakra, and you see there is a relationship with the one on the top, but this is the same information that you will find here. Okay. So it's just a visual representation of the links, the main links between chakras. So you have a link with the crown chakra and you have a link with the spleen chakra, and it's the same information that you will find here.
Got a lot of strength to it. The links have a lot of strength. That's why the dashed lines are larger than smaller.
Yes, you are right. The width of the lines are a function of the strength, which you can see here. 5, 2, 3, and so on. And you also have a little bar here that gives you the energy that is in this resonance. So somehow this is the number of different strands that you can have on the rope, and this is the amount of energy that is passing on this particular rope. And this is what you can see here, not the number of items, but the amount of energy that is passing. And for instance, this one is making a circular resonance. So you really have a coherent system between the two. Whereas, for instance, the throat chakra is only sending to the forehead chakra, but not receiving from it. So
The forehead chakra is how you connect to the Akashic records.
sorry?
Your forehead chakra, not the third eye, but your third eye is your antenna, but the forehead chakra, that's your connection to your Akashic records, the field.
Which is very good if it's learning.
It has the frontal lobe where you connect with the higher self. So I would I would say that the dashed lines, that's nice. That's informative to know.
And here you have the entry points too. So you have the acupuncture points that are linked to the chakras.
Oh, you have those on.
I never knew that.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I realized that it's not displayed here. It should be displayed here. So I will add it in the next update. Because you have, for instance, for the throat chakra, you have an entry point and an exit point. For the heart chakra, you have an entry point and an exit point. Okay, so you see it on the bottom, GVE.
So that one was probably open and processing something through the heart if you have the entry and exit on it.
Yeah, probably yes. So
yeah.
So we have the information on the heart chakra. We have the glands and body systems that are linked to it. But in this list, we should also have the entry and exit points. But I realized I've removed them from the graphics, so it's not on the right column. So you have to somehow click on it. Or you see it in the bottom, CV17 and GV11.
That's cool. So that's the chakras to the meridians on this.
Yes.
And that's awesome. I haven't seen anyone else do that.
It really is.
That is one of my favorite screens to show, and people really like to see that, but like it's nobody really gathers it, and then and I'm usually just explaining it because I'm testing them otherwise, and it seems to correlate. So I'm kind of like just talking out of my system. So it's nice to get more words on that because it is one of the prettier pictures, and everyone loves to see how that's on, but it's you know, it's tough to speak to just strictly from the graphic.
Yeah, and it's
so that's nice to know. The more we can like talk about that, so we can interpret the length of dashed lines. That's great. That's great to see. And anything else you can add. I will say that's one of I said that already, but that's one of the favorite screens when I'm showing and going through people. Everyone likes to stop on that, and I always get a lot of questions too. So it's nice to know, your intention behind the graphics.
Yeah, this screen is probably the most graphic one and the most easy to understand. Well, the most easy to grasp, even if the information behind it needs to know the chakra systems and so on to really interpret it. So as you say, it's very nice and it directly speaks to people. So it's a good entry point to say, oh, this is my aura. That's nice. But what you do with this information is an entirely different question.
Well, the one thing that Gurdjieff has with their camera, it doesn't show the chakras like how you have them delineated in their position. It shows auric colors, right?
Which we do too. The size of the aura here is also computed.
Yes, I'm aware of that, and that's really pretty much what the Gurdjieff camera does. It doesn't give you the strength, right, or the connections like how you give it.
I think only BioCoherence computes connections between items, and this is one of the most interesting discoveries that I made, and one of the main reasons I made BioCoherence, in fact. So
Yeah.
all this computation of causal chains and so on is really what stands apart, I think.
Yeah.
Mm.
Like, you know, I haven't sold many scans at the fairs. In fact, I don't even do fairs anymore because I just get looky-loos, and I guess I'm not a good enough used car salesman to close them. But they always want to see their auras, the chakras. Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
that, and you can tell, like for the people when I'm running BioCoherence basic programs through the plasma fire, because I've never really done it with the fire ray because that's really too strong. But the plasma fire globes, when I put on the basic program, I call it the I feel good, the emotional relaxation. When people come up to me and say, oh, this is where that's coming from, it's mostly women, but they say, oh, that's where it's coming from. And then they usually get a scan because,
Of course.
they've been led to the table.
Mm.
And I can see, I can see why you've seen it, because their crown chakra is just huge. Their pineal gland is just huge in the chakras, right?
If you do any kind of therapeutic approach, it could be interesting to do a recording and to show the chakras, and then to do your stuff and to do a reevaluation and to show the chakra after. Because when you have a before and after, you can just here we have only one recording, but if you had two, when you click here, you have the average of the whole recordings. But if you have several recordings, you can just click on it on top to switch from one to another. So you can just have one before and one after, and just click between the two to immediately show the difference in all the screens. So it's really a striking visual representation of something that is happening before and after an intervention. So I think it's a very graphical screen for that.
I mean, if I shared the screen, like when I have energy work done by somebody, I do a baseline scan or take one that's at least, maybe a day, no later than a day or two, right? And then I get energy work and show on the screen. And the chakras are kind of like what what she showed for Jane Doe, but then after the energy, all the chakras are just, they explode,
Yeah.
right? And it just shows you, it's just like doing well, you can't really see because I'm off screen, but the kinesiology tests, right? That just shows right away.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, am I correct?
Yes.
Sorry, I noticed, I think the last time I checked in on this, you had 7 chakras and we talked, and I see you have now 12.
There's a screen to click the button back and
Yeah,
forth where
you can just click here between 7 and 12. So
Yeah,
if you
that's
click on
great.
7,
I'm glad to see that you have the 12. I was just wondering where you put, because there's some discussion about where the different ones are, but I think the way I understand the 12 is there are 2 heart chakras. There's like the upper heart and there's the sternum, right?
okay, so
I was
I've only
curious
put
where you place them.
I've only placed internal chakras because there are many chakra systems, where sometimes people put chakras outside or between the knees or
That's
things like
great.
that.
That's what I was asking, is there's the causal chakra, then there's the soul gate.
Yes, but
then
there are many
gate.
different chakra systems because there are many different type of clairvoyant people that work on it, and the first one with 7 comes from Blavatsky and etc. with what's their name again? Okay, so
the standard
yeah,
Vedic,
it's the oldest one anyway. And then I found information on 12 chakras, but I had to add some links with organs and frequencies and so on to be able to compute them. If I ever find relatable information on chakra systems with more chakras, I could maybe add a third one,
That's why I'm asking
Yeah.
specifically which one, because generally the top 3 are what we call transpersonal chakras. They're a little above the head. So is that the one you're using?
No, I only use internal chakras because all the chakras we have here are linked to organs, for instance, or to systems.
yes.
So we are still on the internal system. And then the placement on the body, you see there is a body on the bottom, behind the chakras.
Yes.
The placement is not anatomically correct regarding chakras,
Right.
because in fact, it's a graphic, you know, they are all evenly placed here. And the body is more here to show you the general placements, but it's not an anatomically correct placement of the chakras.
Unless you go to planets.
Yes, if you need anatomical correct placement, you have to go to body, and then you have the meridians, the points, and the organs, and this one are all correct. Okay, but for the chakras, it's not anatomically correctly placed on the background. It's more general guidance.
The fourth chakra is really 6 inches below the feet, you know, it's like, so that's why I'm trying to ask how, if they're all within the body, it's really all within the astral body, but not within the physical body.
Well, yes and no.
Into the spine.
Okay, so good question. What are chakras?
And if you look,
Energy, chakra means wheel.
Yeah, so in my understanding, chakras are the end results of a lot of electrical and electromagnetic activities that we have at all scales in our body. And, you know, we have, according to Ayurveda, we have, I don't know how many tens of thousands of sub-chakras, very small chakras, and they are in fact rotating effect of all the magnetic activities that happens in our body. And all of these little magnetic effects happen at atomic scale, molecular scale, cellular scale, organic scale, and so on. And this effect tends to create vortexes at all these scales, and these vortexes tend to create second and third and fourth order effects that finish by regrouping into what we see as chakras, you know, because we are created from the bottom up, but we see from the top down. Okay, so we see only the big. When I say we see, I mean the clairvoyants that first worked on the chakra because they saw the aura. You know, they only see the outermost structures.
They see from the outside in.
Yes, they see from the outside, and they see
and
the biggest structures. So they see only what they called wheels because they saw a kind of whirlpool, you know, created by all the electromagnetic activity and all the magnetic activities that we have in our body. But in fact, you can say we have 7 chakras or 12 chakras or 10,000 chakras because it depends on how close you look to our different systems.
mm-hmm.
And it's
okay, but still hierarchically, they do collect into, you know, agreed upon nodes.
Yeah, yeah, and they are related to nervous plexuses.
Yeah.
So it's related to physical. It's also related to physical structures.
Yeah, I can speak to that if you like. How I saw that the chakras, how he's doing it, it's like there's you could start with like 3 dantians, like you have your 3 centers, right? And if you break that down in inner divide, you'll get it's like the white keys on the piano and having an octave. And if you add those black keys, you can measure this on your body by the lift of your hand in sacred geometry, or if we're talking Elfies, your hand length is like an estimate. And if you go down, you'll get 7 chakras by measuring your hand. If you turn your hand this way, you'll get the inner, I call them the black key chakras, and it kind of lines up that way. But those are more internal pumps that move the energy into your body, and it all lines into your spine. And the chakras are the interface then between the energy body and the physical body. So those energies, which are consciousness, are like the blueprints for your physical body. So all those energy centers go there. So the more that you divide up in those Elfi lengths, the more chakras that you'll get on the body.
Yeah.
And when you're talking about if you look at like a chord or something, you have plugs on the end of an octave. So along your spine, you have an octave of chakras, and that's why I like Medrick's system here and how it's relevant to mine too. Once you get off of the body, you can keep going on different chakras off of your body, but then you're getting into different octaves, and that doesn't really correlate back to the physical body. And any work it does, but it doesn't really matter because you're going into a separate octave of energy, and it's already self-reflected on your body chakras. So if you're
I would say chakras are a way to interpret what happens in your body in a different way, and they are an effect of things that happen in your body and your mind and so on. So if you know a lot about chakras, you can extract a lot of information from this screen only, you know. But if you don't, you just see a pretty picture, which is already a good thing.
And they're all holograms. So when you go into one, you see all the other ones within each other. And that's why I mean with the off-body chakras, you don't really need to address those if you're dealing with the ones that are on your body. And those relate to the elements and the meridians as they're done. And I guess the next thing that I like to look at after the chakras is those planes. If you want to speak to the planes, field and the grounding and the connection to the earth, like these two screens here.
Yeah.
I know you've said that in other videos, but I always look and see where a person's at by those lining up. But if you could explain that again, that would be great, because I like to show people like these. There's not a lot that I speak on that, but you can tell kind of like how on or inside a person is to themselves by those planes.
Yeah.
And their
Okay. So the information comes from meridians, and you know some meridians are deep or shallow, some meridians are left or right, and so we have yin and yang too, and so on. So this has been then mapped to planes, and planes come from bioenergy. So I have a lot of French books about that, but I'm sure there are some English books too. I couldn't bring them to the summit for you to see, but you can basically measure your planes with bare hands by just sensing the point of resistance from your planes. And so you have the forward, backward one, you have the vertical one. When you measure it by hand, you can actually get more information than what we have on the screen, because you can see if they bend towards the top, for instance, in one side or another one, which is an information that I cannot yet get, but at one point I would like to have a curve here somehow. Frederick, I will just mute you. Sorry. No, it's okay. So if we are back on the planes.
So when I see the planes, when it's broken
Yeah.
like that, I always find that correlates to blocked chakras, that the energy isn't going through. And I look at that as, if you're looking at your central line and then your axis of your body. So when I see that someone's got a broken one, where these seem like it's pretty on.
The vertical is so you have the gray line that tells you the middle, the norm. So you see the horizontal one is pretty low, so much more grounded than connected to the sky. And yes, when you click on it, you have some information. So this one is yin-yang balance. This one is leg-arm balance. This one is left-right. And this one is deep shallow. Okay, so deep shallow, left, right, and so on is classical TCM information that you can just get by averaging the corresponding meridians. But by putting them like that, we get a bridge to what you can measure in bioenergy and the interpretation you can do with it. So this is
broken when they're not misaligned.
Yeah.
You know, when this one's pretty on, but you know how sometimes they'll line up like this and there'll be that crack. Yeah, it seems like you got to get the person in their body then, that they're not connected with their reality in a sense.
Yeah, and you see the middle is here. So these two planes are very, very forward-looking, which might indicate someone that is always expecting something to happen, but not really in the present moment, you know. And you are true. If you have a big discrepancy between this one and this one, it means that something is broken inside that should be addressed too.
Yeah. So then it seems like to the right, if those planes are broken, I'll look over there and see their level of groundedness or their connection to source, if
Yeah.
I'm interpreting those right.
So this one is Schumann heart frequencies. So the one going towards the heart. So you can get some information about that. And this one is gravity B wave, for which I should pull some information, but it's more a connection to the cosmos, you know.
It's the longitudinal. It's what Dan Winter calls the longitudinal. Both of them are longitudinal, and it's how you're embedding into the larger array. So the Earth, the bottom, in the planes, the V section, the line going down is how well you're embedding into the Earth's longitudinal grid points.
Yeah.
Like, sacred sites. And then when you're the one that goes up into the cloud, that's how well you're embedding into the longitudinal of, like, from the Earth out.
And you have to remember that Earth is a giant capacitor, and we are living into this capacitor. So we are fundamentally electrical beings, and all of our cells are born into this electrical field. There is an plain electrical potential between the sky and the heart, and there is this Schumann resonance that is created by, well, physically it's created by all the thunderstorm impacts that strike Earth almost constantly and create this resonance that is a function of Earth's size. And coincidentally, it's almost exactly an Elfi frequency. Incidentally, it's almost frequency, almost exactly. And these little discrepancies are also very interesting because it means that we are on a perfect planet to create life, because a lot of dimensions of the planet are linked to Elfi frequencies. But it also means that life has a tolerance for not being perfect. And we are very close to the perfect frequencies for developing life in an implosive manner. So really getting the implosion perfectly done. But there are some physical constraints that drives these frequencies on Earth a little bit on the side, because it's a very complicated system. So maybe you cannot get all the parameters exactly right on the frequency, but we are here, so it still works. And
Well, it's like it's for contrast, but also there are artificial frequencies that are being canceled now, but we've been dealing with a lot of artificially generated frequencies.
yes, but the Schumann frequencies are really a function of the size of Earth. So this one cannot be tampered with. When you hear people say, "Oh, the Schumann frequencies are getting much higher" or something like that, you must understand that it's not the frequencies by themselves that are changing. It's the harmonics that are more or less important. And and this is actually physically measured by real scientists that can show you graphs which resemble a lot what we have into BioCoherence with the harmonics analysis. And you can see that when you have solar flares, for instance, the base frequencies are still the same, but the higher frequencies are going much more potent.
12% more.
Yeah. So I think that's a super important screen, that Earth one, because I'll go there right off and see where a person is at, and it shows how connected they are if the line goes all the way to the sun and all the way down their level of groundedness.
Yeah.
But what I'll look at there is make sure those lines are equal, because that's one of the first steps for me. If those lines aren't balanced, whichever level they're at, if they're not all the way to the sun or all the way there, but making sure if it's uneven, that would be the sign that I worked first. Like if it's more into the earth and not up to the sun,
Yeah,
I would say
I
that
agree.
you can't ground more until you equal that out, and that gives you a good yin yang balance of where a person's at if they're working on a masculine level or a feminine level. And that seems to really, I find this very accurate when I get a person reading their energy, and it brings a way to describe that and talk to the person about it rather than just talking out of nothing. Here's like a reading saying like you need some groundedness because you're getting too much into the sky. But like with here, it seems like it's pretty balanced.
Yeah.
And they could expand both. And I think right here, what it shows is that the expansion needs to occur in both directions at the same time. in order to be balanced.
Yeah.
And
Where
I
does
think
that come from? Where does that come from? Do you have to ground more, or because without a good ground, you don't transmit a signal?
well, what it's saying, we have to do it together in order to expand those. And I'll see people once they start doing a practice or something, both of those lines will move together. But what I'm saying is if it's moving where the line is in balance, where it's more towards the sun or more towards the earth, that's a first step to equal those out in order to integrate the healing with all the other
So you'd
screens.
be adding grounded if in your example, right? You'd get them on a grounding principle.
If the line going to the sun is higher.
Yes, that's what
Yeah.
So you're selecting that and clicking on that then to add it to the harmonic boost, or are you just talking to them about grounding?
Well, I'm integrating it with like whatever they're there for, and that's just reflective of what I'm talking about, because I feel like the program overall is already written, and that's the genius of this, is that we can break it down and look over and analyze it, and that's a lot of times helpful for people because they're integrating that to their life experience and what they're doing in their action in their healing work. But the brilliance in this is that the harmonic boosts are already working that to bring that into where it should be, and we don't have to like overthink it or do too much to it, if I'm correct in that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I thought was happening. So that's why I was asking you whether you were adding to it, like, like more stimulation to the whole thing when it was already addressing it when you're looking at that graph.
I'm more talking about how a person can actively participate with their intention in their practices to do these. But I find that it's hard to, I mean, there's things to add, but I feel like it's hard to beat the system. Like it's so good on the measurements already that this is why this is awesome, because we don't need, we could talk about it and overthink it, but we don't really have to add anything because it's already there, because it's measuring, physically the electrical signals.
I would say you can add many things if you want, as long as it helps the client engage with the process. So
Right.
if you show some screens and you feel the clients respond to this information, don't refrain to well, I mean you can add it to their priorities, because anyway, for the harmonic boost, it will be painless because it's played usually in the background, and if it's very long, it's not a problem. And for the personal guide, it will rotate every day amongst all priorities, so it won't make a too long session anyway. So I would say if you want to add some stimuli as an expert, you can. And if you want to add more structures because they are speaking to your clients and it feels like, okay, I want to work on my grounding. Yes, sure. Just add the Schumann frequencies and you will get a meditation to help you ground, even if it's into your meditative process. It will enter your awareness, and once it enters your awareness, it will become something that you will do more and more intuitively. You know the 4 levels of knowing something. The first one is you don't know that you don't know. Okay.
You don't know what you know.
The second one is you know that you don't know. The third one is you know. Sorry, you don't know that you don't know.
No, you know that you don't know.
Yeah.
And then you know that you know, and then it becomes subconscious.
Yes, exactly. Okay, so I just lost my process, but the end result is it becomes subconscious, and you do it automatically, and you just have the knowledge. Yeah. So what you do when you do a biocoherence analysis is that you basically go through these 4 stages of knowledge, and the first one is discovery, and going through the analysis with your clients and seeing what clicks with them is a very interesting way to also see what they know and they don't know, or they don't know that they don't know, and creating some curiosity about that is a very positive thing that you can do with your clients.
Yeah. And just to recap on what I was saying about Jeff here on adding the screens, where I like the stimulus, but I find if that is way off, it's already there as a priority anyways when you start clicking through.
Yeah, so this one should not be picked up as a priority because it's not in our automatic algorithm. So this is something that you can add if you feel like you want. As you probably noticed, the algorithm is only choosing into the main categories like organs and some organs from different systems.
And those are all based off of I mean, most of them get described as traditional Chinese, so the energy flow in your body,
Yeah.
right? Okay.
Which one? Sorry.
Well, like for the organs and stuff, right? When you click on those ultimately and you look, because all of them have meditations attached to them, which are basically, you know, you're using focused intent.
Yeah.
But there's a lot that have to, you know, with the links and stuff, most of those are, it's all energy based. It's all frequency based.
Yeah, sure.
You know, there are.
Sure, but the meditations are also teaching you to connect with your inner organs, which is something that few people do and is really, really beneficial. You know, just connecting again with your body is something that starts a lot of very positive processes.
You know, TJ, when you first started talking about the chakras, you mentioned the three. You broke it down into three, and I didn't hear what you said. But
I would go 3, 5. I follow like a Fibonacci sequence,
Yeah.
which is why I don't think the 7 is a harmonic, and that's why that we're in there. And you know, I correlate those all to cycles. You know, where the week is 7 and it's not like a strong. It's a week. If we had an 8-day week, it would probably be a strong. You know, but yeah. So I find like if you take like I have a I mean I have visuals on that too, but if you take the 3 and break them down to a 5, it'll go to an 8 and a 13. And that's how I divide it. And it looks just like a musical keyboard is how I first got into this, is that I was looking like why is there black keys and why is there black keys missing, that they're not in between every chakra. And you can see how that's like a point where the energy shifts like through the heart. It's a solar plexus and that.
And interestingly, as you say, we have 7 base notes in a scale and 12 semitones. So this guy.
And when he does my clients, he's spot on using the chakras.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can I add something on it?
About 30 years I've been doing this, and I got like I don't know how many I've tested.
Mikhail, just one second. I don't know if it's in the first or the second book of Christine, but she sees the chakras a little bit differently, and she sees 3 main toruses with top and bottom resonances, and the intermediate chakras are connections between them. So
could I just say one thing? Does she see the blocks? Because in my studies, there's 3 blocks between the chakras. And if you get the Kundalini flowing, it has to push through those blocks and it goes from the root chakra up. And I don't know exactly the positioning. That's why I was asking TJ about the
honestly, I wanted to add a 3 chakra visualization based on Christine's book, which is not yet done, but this is something we can work on. And if you have some specifics with that, we can discuss together to see if we had to check some blockages or something like that. But it will be one of the many more features coming in the coming times, because you know we don't stop here with BioCoherence.
It just keeps getting brighter, folks.
So, Mikhail.
So, can I add something from an Ayurvedic perspective?
Yeah, sure.
Because we are just talking about the chakras as frequencies, but more or less it's a theme. For example, the first chakra and the second chakra, the third chakra, certain themes. And if you go to the Ayurvedic doshas, for example, if you go to Kapha, it's earth and water, which is the first and the second chakra. If you go to Pitta, it's water and fire, which is the second and the third chakra, a specific theme. And then you go to Vata, which is the heart chakra, which is air, and ether, which is a fifth chakra. You have the 3 blocks, but an Ayurvedic practitioner would never say that. But from my point of view, there are specific themes in these elements, and there are specific themes in the chakra system. So to me, they relate. I don't know who of you guys are into Ayurvedic, but I think it's an interesting thing.
My ex is into it, so I she's throwing all that at me. If I start being a jerk, she'll be like, "Here, have your soothing pit of magic," which is like the pit of soothing thing, and it's like, and I'm like, oh.
Well, to be honest, in the app, at least, we have only scratched the surface of Ayurveda. I've developed a lot more on the TCM point of view, but there is a lot of knowledge in Ayurveda that is not yet integrated into the app, and that could be one day. It's just not yet done. So
yeah, and there's if you get into like Dan's Star Mother kits with the geometries on it, which like up here, it's like each of these chakra points relates to the energy field, a layer of your Merkaba field, and that's when we were talking about with Dan with the glyphs. So when I'm reading someone's chakras, I'll correlate that to like a tetrahedron or an icosahedron or any of the platonic solids as a layer because they're self-reflective in that. And then when you're working with that, it's working that exterior let of your Merkaba. And when all those are intertwined together, things are good. And that's why I love how the planes thing is, because if those fields are all spinning together and one's blocked, there's a wobble. And that's how I interpret your planes thing, is that the lines aren't there on your axes. So then when you're going through life and creating experiences, everything's not going to be working out for you. If you have a wobble in your field, you're going to be attracting things to bring you back onto rebalance, to kind of break something down because there's a wobble, rather than it just being constructive and just meeting nice people everywhere and everyone's conducive to your enjoyment and facilitating creative growth. But when you have a wobble in your field, that's when someone backs into your car, or
I manifested that accident. I know I did, because I was not happy with what Amazon did backing into my car parked in my driveway. And I read them the riot act that day. I read them the riot act. And that later on that day, I got rear-ended.
And you got,
Same thing.
and you got hurt. You didn't get hurt the first time.
No, I didn't get hurt the first time. Second time, I got whopped upside the head, right? That's the universe telling me. And that's why I was looking at the others and in the drives, I was looking at me inside. The me outside is creating my reality. I create my reality. Nobody else does. And then the triggers, right? And the triggers were, and that's why I was looking at cycles and stuff, for time, because if it's faster cycles, like 30 times a second, or a minute, or 45 times a minute, right? But if it's 1.2 cycles a minute, then that's slow and that's really deep. And that's why I was bringing that up, okay? Because, it's more easier with the cars because that's happened recently, but the grief or lack of grief showed up, it just got stronger and stronger, the way I look at it. Anyway, I just, thank you for that, Laura.
anyway, maybe we'll stop here unless somebody wants to add something.
Yeah, just very briefly for me, just to say thank you to Michael and Laura for recording the practitioner videos yesterday, which you can find them in the practitioner YouTube channel now. We have 2 in there of practitioners basically going through an exploration from their perspective, which is very, very cool. And we're going to add to it. Dan is going to do, and I think maybe TJ as well, and Jeff. I think it'd be great.
I think it's really great to hear you just give your point of view on things, and it's really, really interesting for everybody. So yes, this is I'm very happy that you started that, Stephen, and this is something we want to expand on.
Thank you.
Yeah, and it actually was Heidi's idea.
Okay,
So-
cool. Thanks, Heidi.
Yeah, thank you.
Could we like read each other rather than a hypothetical person?
Yeah, sure. Whatever makes you comfortable to explain, because it's a transmission, so you have to.
you still here?
Yeah.
Steve Campbell, I'm not sure, is he?
Yeah.
He's around.
Yeah, I'm here.
We're gonna go through your chart next, Steve.
Well, I'm trying to, let me share my screen real quick before everybody gets off.
We are still recording, so maybe you want me to stop?
Yeah, please.
Yeah, okay. I stopped the